Hey up lads and lasses, Damphyre here, back again with some more Infinite Lagrange. Today, jumping onto the CAS, it was the most requested in the comments, as I kind of expected, to be honest. It's a good early game ship, so you had a few guys that had just started the game playing, and you get the CAS for free, and obviously people looking at what to pick up on the Ox CAS, because it's well, ridiculous still. So, jumping into the CAS, we have 4 types for this one, so it'll be a bit of a longer video. Saying that, the aircraft type's kind of a bit crap, so I probably won't be spending too much time in there. So the integrated type is the one that you get at the very start of the game. It's within the free box thing that they give you, and you just unlock it eventually. And it's actually not too bad. It's got pretty decent stats for, you know, just sitting there tanking shots for quite a decent amount of time while dishing out like a relatively okay amount of DPS. It's no, you know, IO or HT Callisto or anything of that nature, or even Chimera, because the integrated is front row. So bear that in mind. There are just better cruisers, but if you are fresh to the game, the only 2 cruisers you are guaranteed are the KCCPV and the generic CAS066, of which you can build 12 of these, and I think you can build like 15 of the KCCVs off the top of my head. I'm probably wrong there. I should go have a look, but I digress. So, it's a front row, tanky, damage dealer, off-tankish sort of thing. It will sit there and take a lot of damage. A long time ago, myself and Happy Gaming did a video, I believe that's over on his channel, where we tested just like bog standards, very start of the game ships with about 50 tech points into each of them. So it's things like CAS, KCC, PVs, Winged Hussars, Eris's, all things that you can get pretty much almost instantly. I say instantly, within a few days of researching in the boxes. So, and I ran all 12 CAS in my fleet, and I believe I won as well. So that was quite cool. But yeah, it was just a test of brand new fleet type that you could try at the very start of the game. And it does okay. It's great. It'll be fine for PvE, except maybe not the new server. But it'll be fine for PvE against pirates and stuff and any other server types. And yeah, so front row ship, as per usual, absolutely jump in and grab the double HP here. It's pretty much a requirement on any front row ships just to try and keep them alive a little bit, because you have got, you know, 10k DPM here, and you want to try and keep that alive as possible. And if you go into weapon system stuff, you're only going to push this up maybe 3-4k DPM, whereas if you increase its HP, you're probably going to get another 40% staying power with it, so you get a little bit more usability out of its DPM. I've explained this previously in multiple of these videos, but just a quick refresher there. So double HP here is the way I would go. I would then be picking up A energy resistance and A physical resistance. If you're fighting mostly pirates, you can opt for double physical, but some of the cities will run high energy, and you're going to want to run the double energy at that point. So a nice split, just run 1 physical, 1 resistance, and that's pretty much all you're going to get. Tank-wise for this thing, obviously you can pick up, you know, 5% extra HP here. The kernel structure gives you even more HP, but I wouldn't really worry too much about those on this ship. You best using those weapon techs to unlock something a bit more important on another ship if you get a bit lucky later down the line. Now, the heavy torpedo system on it, you get this one Octafire torpedo missile. It just fires 8 torpedoes. It's quite nice. It does okay. It's got a okay lock-on time. 35-second cooldown is long though, so you do want to work on that. You got an 8-second duration. You got 420 damage per hit, and it has a nice little 10% chance. So actually going down crit builds with this works out quite nicely. Rapid fire reduces the weapon's firing duration cooldown by 80% for every 60 seconds for 15 seconds with a 10-second cooldown. You can further increase the time that this is firing for. This is one of the strategies I just flat out refuse to acknowledge, basically, because it's awful. Even upgraded, I've tested them now. It just doesn't bring the amount of damage you'd really want. And the fact that, you know, it's every 60 seconds with a 10-second cooldown, that's a 70-second timer between it firing, does put you into a position where you're now sat there waiting 70 seconds, so a minute and 10 seconds in your 4-minute battle. You might find this triggering twice to 3 times in most situations. Against pirates, potentially less. Maybe I can shut down pirates in less than a minute, so this wouldn't even trigger in that instance. So, and in PvP, same thing. Things are just going to be dying just quicker than you can really, you know, warrant having a strategy like this running. So just ignore the strategy, in my opinion. And yeah. Hit rates are absolutely required on this. Is a torpedo system. Torpedoes are the lower of the hit rates of the indirect fire. Something nice as well is because they are indirect fire, these can hit medium and back row ships and do so quite reasonably well as well, to be honest. Hit rates against the flat hit rate buff and picking up the second hit rate against cruisers, I find actually quite good here. You don't necessarily find too many cruisers within the PvE side of things, but you do find them a lot more frequently within PvP, and having that extra hit rate there will actually help you out. Plus, you know, you've got quite a few slots here to play with. You've got 7 slots, I believe. So yeah, you might as well pick these both up, because that allows you to go double hit rate, double cooldown, double damage, and you can pick up the crit damage as well. The siege damage isn't necessarily a bad thing on this, but it's very much specific to going into siege fleets, only to hit outposts and the like. So if you are going that way, drop the double hit rates for the double siege. The hit rates don't really matter too much. You don't miss on structures too often. You could drop the crit and the cruiser and higher class, and then keep the base hit rate, and then go double siege there and keep the double damage, double cooldown, and that's the most siege damage you'll get out of this if you are specifically looking to go more siege orientated for it. 5% damage isn't too bad here again. You're also buffing that because you can pick up both of the damage types in this because the strategy is bad, and as you can see, the rapid fire adjustment here is for the weapon tech, and I highly wouldn't recommend it because it's just not very good. After going out of its main weapon system and you've done its armor system, you have its standard battery system, you have some small integrated cannons here that AA, they're not very good. Just ignore the fact that it's got AA weapons in the first place. Concentrate on the fact that you have some pretty reasonable cannons here doing, you know, small target prioritization instead. That being said, I go hit rate here, double cooldown and double damage, and I actually ignore the anti-aircraft support, and that's due to the fact that even with 40% hit rate and this strategy generally being quite good, I find these cannons really start struggling to hit the aircraft whatsoever in the first place, so I just don't think it's worth it on this ship. Most of the time when you've got cannons, even if you have got the anti-aircraft support, it's not worth really picking up. However, if you do want to pick it up just because you've got no AA at all, drop one of the damages and pick up the anti-aircraft support at that point. You have enough lock-on efficiency to not worry too much about lock-on times and stuff on those smaller weapon systems. So it's not too bad. You can just ignore one of the damage types to grab the strat if you really want. I wouldn't recommend it personally though. Propulsion, same as before. Double warp speed, cruising speed is what I go for. Obviously, if you're using these as scouts to get through red zones or something of that nature, which is quite possible with KCC PVs. Most of the time, you see people trying to use them as scouts because they're cheap to build, quick to get out, and all you need to do in that situation is double cruising speed and a single warp speed. Not even necessarily need the cruising speed, and that is that's the CAS. It's pretty average ship. It's, good tank, good DPM. It's not crazy levels of DPM or crazy levels of tank. It's very middle of the road, and it will do pretty fine. It's also really cool looking maxed out, which I can't unfortunately show you at the moment, but yeah, just really cool looking. Moving on to the artillery type. Similar situation to the integrator type, but this moves back to the mid-row, so we don't have to worry too much about the armor system, but I would recommend picking up the double HP. You don't necessarily have to do the physical energy resistance now, though, with it, as you do with the integrated, which is front row. After that, going into its railgun, and this thing does actually have a really good strat. Light ammo. When the target is a frigate, it increases the hit rate by 30%, decreases the attack cooldown by 50%, and it does decrease damage by 40%. But when you've got that kind of hit rate with an attack cooldown of that nature, you are doing, some pretty nice things to, well, not nice things specifically to frigates, but nice things for your fleet anyway, because it's going to hit quite regularly. 40% less damage on 1500 damage is still a hell of a lot of damage to be flinging at frigates. You're still doing like 700, 800 damage there. So yeah, it's going to be pretty nice regardless, even losing 40% damage for that increased cooldown and stuff. With that being said, I do recommend prioritizing to try and get this to hit frigates and destroyers as often as possible. If you're doing so, go double hit rate here, and then go into the strategy is my recommendation, and then start picking up some of the cooldowns a little bit later on. You have got crit here, and crit chance and crit damage, and a second crit damage, so there is a crit build for this. You again have 7 slots to play with, so going double hit rate, light ammo, there's 3 of your slots. It means you got 4 slots remaining. You pick up the extra cooldown, there's 3 slots remaining. So you can go single damage here, a reactive warhead, and the anti-armor blast enhancement, and that is the crit build. If you go for the more damage build, you would drop this crit damage build, this one, the armor anti-blast, and pick up your second damage. I personally prefer that version with the extra damage, just because of how much damage this actually buffs. If you think you're getting 10% from this for each time that you grab one of those, you're now at an extra 150 damage for each 10% that you're getting, and it does sort of outweigh the crit damage a little bit in most situations. You can obviously get lucky and crit a lot, but it is unlikely. So I'd recommend the damage version. Again, absolutely pick up the 5% here. And you get the reactive explosive warhead upgrade, which increases your crit damage anyway. If you do go for the reactive explosive warhead using the weapon tech, I still wouldn't recommend it on this ship. I'd still sort of recommend keeping weapon tech for other ships. But if you do go for it, it can be beneficial to actually then pick up the extra crit damage instead of the damage there as well, because it is going to just stack a little bit, and you get an additive, just a massive explosion basically if you do crit, and it's kind of funny when it does, because you just see chunks disappearing, which is actually not too bad whatsoever. Likewise with the integrated, although you lose the 2 cannons here that are anti-small, you only have anti-aircraft here. So in that situation, picking up hit rate, double cooldown, single damage, and lock-on efficiency is the most efficient use of your tech points there. However, don't expect this to really do much at all. It hasn't got row wide. This is locked to counter only, unlike the other one we can pick up a strat to give it row wide. This one is just locked to that counter, which does suck a little bit. Armor system, same as before. You picked up the HP and stuff earlier. I would pick up 1 physical, 1 energy here, because that'll give you around 10% extra energy resistance, bringing you to 20%, and you'll get an extra 30 armor, I believe it is, bringing you up to 80 armor. So you can mitigate quite a lot of damage that way. Propulsion system, again, same as before. I go double warp speed, cruise speed, but I explained double cruise speed, warp speed is completely viable depending on your uses. So yeah, feel free to choose which one of those 2 you enjoy. The aircraft type, which is the one I said we're not going to spend too much time on, it carries 2 vets. The chances of you having any decent vets at the start of the game is going to be very, very minimal. They do give you one for free. It's absolutely and utterly trash. Don't run it. To the point where just run integrated types of these and just ignore the fact that you've got an aircraft CAS, although I'm not even sure they give you the aircraft CAS at the start. I think they give you the integrated and then you get a load of KCCPV variants, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I started a fresh game in this, like a very long time. It is mid-row. If you are going to use it, double HP, going into its aircraft maintenance system, and in here, probably picking up hit rate, double cooldown. How many slots do you even get on this thing? It's been ages since I ran it. 6. So yeah, hit rate, double cooldown, damage. Missile evasion's probably quite good there. Lock-on speed would be alright depending on what you're putting in. So yeah, hit rate, double cooldown, evasion, double damage, or 1 damage and the lock-on speed depending on which corvettes you put on there. Recommended corvettes, basically none. I can't really think of a time where you'd run the CAS over any other ship that has carrying capabilities, unfortunately. It's even got less HP and stuff as like other versions, which just it sucks a little bit. You get the 2 cannons back with 300 damage against small ships on the aircraft variant, which is quite nice, and you come back to having the same generic cannons as the integrated as well. You also get the anti-aircraft support, so this literally upgrades pretty much exactly the same way as the base. If you want to go more fighter, pick up the hit rate, the anti-support, double cooldown, and one of the damages, and a lock-on, sorry. And then if you want to go more anti-frigate, use, the fact that you've got some damage output with these big cannons. You go anti-frigate, double cooldown, double damage, and that uses your 5 up. So you could potentially pick up the anti-aircraft support here just to give you a little bit of anti-air, or pick up the actually, yeah, that's probably the best bet. Pick up the anti-aircraft support there for your 6th slot on the AA weapon system. But again, don't expect this to actually do much at all in the terms of AA. Propulsion, same as before. Double cruising speed and single warp speed is what you can go for, or my preference, double warp into a single cruising. And yeah, works completely fine. You do have a command system here. It comes with Strategic Strike 2. This can be useful in situations, but again, it's one of those where there are better ships to bring aircraft on, and they all have this as well. So I wouldn't worry too much in regards to that. So yeah. The support type, the one that all the veterans have been waiting for, because yeah, this thing is pretty insane, to be honest with you. 3 repair UAVs come on this thing for 18 CP, make it pretty much the most efficient healer in the game. The fact that, it's sat at like 70,000 HP as well, 50 armor, 10% energy res at base, just means that it tanks quite well itself. It can heal itself quite well. They heal each other quite well. So it's become pretty much the staple in super heavy. And among other fleets as well. You can see here, I've picked up some of the main upgrades here. Double HP buff to start on this thing is my recommendation, just to keep it alive a little bit longer. It's only 16 CP, it's not too bad to get. Then going straight into its repair system, and yeah, this is where it gets a bit crazy. You have 3 UAV repair effectiveness buffs, and one of these can even be enhanced even further by an extra 10%. So yeah, you're getting 10, 30% plus an extra 10%. There's 40% extra repair effectiveness, and you've only used 3 of your 6 slots. Speed up repair. Increase the repair efficiency and reduces the repair duration or repair UAVs in the system by 40% every 30 seconds. This affects everything, which is the best repair strategy in the game, and it's, I believe, only on this ship, which is kind of crazy. Most of the other ones are return to me and heal myself. This one is, no, I'm just going to make sure that that thing I'm repairing gets really, really repaired. So yeah, absolutely crazy, the speed up repair. It's an absolute necessity for certain. Lock-on speed is not necessary on healing and support ships, in my opinion, and I like to finish them up with the double flight time and cooldown. This increases the speed that your drones get to target to start healing it. It is an instant. They do have to come back and forth a little bit. This reduces that, which allows you to get them on target a little bit quicker, and obviously that means healing starts sooner, and that could potentially save ships quite literally. Increase UAV repair effectiveness in hangar by an extra 5% is absolutely necessary, and I actually do think that the enhanced repair beam that you can get on it as well is also pretty damn necessary, because it's just this stacking buff of healing. 3 UAVs, 30%, plus an extra 10%, plus an extra 5%, plus the strategy. It's just this constant additive effect of, you know, more and more buffs coming from that single system. It's just absolutely ludicrous. But, you know, they've given it to us, and it is really good. Everybody's running them. Into its AA system, this is exactly the same as the integrated type. So you have a choice going into frigates and destroyers. You only have one ship cannon here, so I do recommend speccing this more towards the fighters. But you can spec it to dealing damage against frigates, destroyers. But again, I would recommend going into the fighters this time, going hit rate against fighters and corvettes, double cooldown, anti-aircraft support system for 4 slots. You have 2 left to run with. Lock-on efficiency and one of the damage types is what I would pick up there. You can, if you wanted to, take up frigates and hit rate against frigates, destroyers, and one of the damage types, dropping the lock-on efficiency, and that'll give you a bit more of a sort of, it's okay against a little bit more against frigates and destroyers, but a little bit worse against aircraft. So it's a trade-off that you're going to have to decide to make yourself on that one. I personally go with lock-on efficiency, and the damage increases viability at taking out aircraft. Again, they don't do much AA though, so just it's more of a why not? You've got the tech point sort of thing. Propulsion system. Again, my choice is double warp speed, cruising speed, but you can go double cruising speed, warp speed. Reason for double warp speed, cruising speed for me is because I do run it in super heavy. So having that warp speed, because the cruising speed really isn't going to matter. This thing's faster than pretty much everything I put into super heavy, because they're all slow ships. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it in general. Nothing on the command system. So that is the CAS from the integrated artillery aircraft and the support. The support is an absolute S-tier support. It is the best in the game currently for healing output. Highly recommend, if you do have it, try run it. It's literally ridiculous what it can do, and it's really, really strong because of that. After that, the artillery type is a little bit of a sleeper ship. People do choose to ignore this a little bit, but you've got 1500 DPM. You can boost it up quite a decent amount. I think it's around 20,000 it gets up to with the right setup. And then, okay, you're losing some DPM against frigates, destroyers, but its hit rate's just too good, and it does smash through frigate destroyer front rows like nobody's business. So yeah, it is really, really good anti-small, and it has the capability of hitting large as well, because at 1500 damage at base, that's a big hit, and not a lot of things have that kind of armor to take that kind of hit. Even cruisers, you're looking at 80 armor. Oh, so you still hit for 1420 damage? Sure, it hits really hard. The artillery is a bit of a sleeper. Do check it out if you have got it. It's pretty decent. I run this in one of my secondary fleets as a flanker, Really great for that. Integrated type. New players will all have this eventually. It doesn't take too long to grab hold of. Really, really strong. A little bit tank, off tank, with some DPM. Pretty good ship. It's just very average in terms of what it can do, and it's good. Completely fine. Aircraft type. Avoid like the plague if you've got any other form of ability to carry corvettes in. And if you don't have any corvettes of any worth, I wouldn't even consider running this if this is the only carrier. If this is your only carrier and you have T-800s or something of that nature, consider running it then. But other than that, I generally wouldn't recommend running this whatsoever. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.